I think it will flip Ethereum. That doesn't mean Ethereum's going down or anything like that. I think there's going to be market share for Ethereum. I think they could both grow, but I think from a market capitalization perspective, I think Solana will end up growing faster. Again, I'm a multi-chain sort of a person, so people get mad at me because I happen to like Avalanche. I do like Ethereum. And people say, well, I guess they want me to be chain monogamous, but I'm not chain monogamous. In fact, who is chain monogamous?
So obviously Solana has done very well. I think the Solana move from 7 to 300 was driven by meme coins activity relative to what it was in sort of like 2023 and 2024. Solana needs a new trick. I don't know what that new trick is, but again, it's the number two largest L1. I think they'll find something. Will it be enough to power price performance greater than Ethereum? I don't think so, but I think pretty much every other L1 besides Ethereum or Solana is a zero, and they're not going to do very well.
Well, obviously, we've been mindful of the significant growth in AI to begin with and extremely impressed with the progress that Sam and OpenAI have made. And that includes, by the way, as I said earlier, their agreement to both honor and value and respect our content. And we want to participate in what Sam is creating and what his team is creating. We think this is a good investment for the company. It's kind of a way in of sorts for us to appreciate even more what is obviously something that has significance in terms of the long-term impact on our business.
And there are warrants that came along with it. I guess you're not giving us any specifics, though, in terms of where those are struck. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I think that's correct.
Okay. Bob, at the same time you announced this deal, I reported on a cease and desist letter that was sent to Google. I would imagine there's not a coincidence in terms of the timing. I'm curious as to what your conversations have been like with other platforms, including Google, and why you chose to make that move today.
Well, we've been aggressive at protecting our IP, and we've gone after other companies that have not honored our IP, not respected our IP, not valued it. And this is another example of us doing just that. We've been in conversation with Google, basically expressing our concerns about this, and ultimately, because we didn't really make any progress, the conversations didn't bear fruit, we felt we had no choice but to send them a cease and desist. Users of Sora to create their own, basically, videos using Sora and those characters. We are not including name and likeness, nor are we including character voices. And so, in reality, this does not in any way represent a threat to the creators at all. In fact, the opposite. I think it honors them and respects them, in part because there's a license fee associated with it.
Well, I think it's a very smart move by Disney and very forward-looking, and I think it has profound implications. I mean, they're putting a toe into the water of a whole new market area, which is user-generated content. I mean, people will be using AI to make their own movies. And so that's moving into the TikTok area, the YouTube area, the self-created content. And this gives Disney a toehold in there. They've also got a stake in AI. I can understand why the creative community is very worried about this. I mean, AI was already a threat. Now Disney has a stake in AI, and it's a big consumer of AI and will probably become an ever bigger consumer. There's no question that AI is going to displace a lot of content creators.
We have some breaking news, some new reports on the U.S. preparing to seize more oil tankers off the coast of Venezuela. Eamon Javers is here with the details from the White House. Eamon?
Kelly, let me walk you through it. First of all, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, just told reporters in a briefing here at the White House a short time ago that the U.S. does intend to seize the oil on the tanker that has already been secured. That tanker will be moved to a U.S. port. She said that officials are on board the tanker, interviewing the crew, scouring the ship for information and evidence, and ultimately an investigation will be launched as to whether the assets, the ship, and the oil and anything on it should be seized by the U.S. government. No information from the White House on what will happen.
And Hassett was on earlier this week, Kevin.
He understands all this.
And he said we're going to wage increases and I think he was implying since inflation never goes negative. So we're locked in. Those Biden increases of 22%, those are locked in. Prices are going to stay higher. So we need to grow out of it in terms of income levels.
This is why,
feel like you can afford
This is why everyone fears inflation, because the effects of a jump in inflation,
they never go away.
They never go away. We just should not tolerate them. So Washington Square Park, we had an open-air drug market. There are housing projects in the city that have open-air drug markets. We are going to target those and bring them to an end. I don't want children walking through Washington Square Park having to dodge needles, seeing people, the horrible effects of drugs. I mean,
so can I ask a question?
I got in the subway over here last night, and somebody was ODing.
Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think. And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. Also, go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Scaramucci on Solana and Ethereum. And we know it's nothing but the Hegelian dialectic. And we can clearly see how powerful the Ethereum ecosystem is. And 10 years is that manifestation period. And Solana has not reached it yet. But we're also seeing Solana's ecosystem get built out, and we see the NWO hands all over it. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. Now we have Disney and OpenAI partnership with Sora. And automation is going to take over content. And people are already on social media, and they turn themselves into avatars, setting up for the metaverse, and these NFTs will definitely make a comeback. But also with social media, we have people who will be their own drama show, and they'll be able to take all these comments, responses, and turn them into TV series. I know it sounds like a movie, but remember, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. People have their whole lives on social media. And don't forget WorldCoin. WorldCoin is a setup for universal basic income. And all this is going to tie in together. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. And again, remember, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. We have the United States that takes a Venezuela oil tanker and then have the nerve to say they're going to be doing an investigation. Yes, you heard that correct. And this should definitely be a reminder to you when it comes to history. Because when the government wants something, they'll take it. Whatever they want, they take it for free. And that video of them landing on that tanker, you don't see not one person on that tanker besides the soldiers. You're definitely living a movie. Remember, the world is a stage. And we have Jay Clayton in New York cleaning it on up. And I've told you time and time again, the game is over. And we have CNBC playing the Hegelian dialectic, saying the Biden increases, but we know inflation started under Trump. He's the one who turned on the money printer, and Biden just continued it. And remember, the Cryptoteacher tells you. And we have the emerging markets. And you know I talk about them all the time, but now you finally have CNBC saying that emerging markets are ready to rise. And we know why. And like she stated, AI, but we also know the robots, algorithms, and drones. And you're going to have hundreds of millions of people coming out of poverty to the middle class. The emerging markets have the biggest upside. And remember, the Cryptoteacher tells you. And we have Scott Besson wants to reduce regulation. Yes, you heard that correct. The George Soros guy, because they are ready to take this ship on down. Remember, once you tokenize everything and put it on blockchain, nothing is real. And also, money is really not moving. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. Your life is going to be a real life video game. Jerome Powell in the house. And yes, he cut 25 basis points because he knows Japan is about to raise. And that's the reason why they're going to be buying treasuries, because we're going to get a rumble in the jungle. And we already know they ran simulations, so they're just trying to get ahead of the storm. But the Fed is definitely going to pause in the early part of 2026 because, again, Japan is going to be on the move. And really, the Fed only has 75 basis points to work with, and the bond market doesn't care. And that's the reason why we're going to be pumping and dumping. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Rivian goes autonomous. And don't forget, Amazon still owns about 13% of the company. So majority of these electric cars are moving to autonomous cars. And we know why, because they don't want a human driving. They want the machines to take over this economy, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Emerging markets is finally having a comeback year. For 14 straight years, EMFX had been underperforming until the dollar strengthened. And this is the first year in 4 consecutive years that you're seeing inflows into emerging markets. So I think it's quite constructive on emerging markets. They still have some room to cut rates here. And the growth numbers look like they're at trend, with inflation really being, I think, more stable than and more predictable than in some of the developed markets.
Do any countries or regions stand out? We all know what country ETFs have outperformed this year.
Yeah, well, look, I think China tech does stand out as well for a lot of the same themes on AI that have driven the U.S. market. But there will be a lot of focus, I think, on Latin America as well. It's a very heavy election year. The carry is still much higher in Latin America. And I think India continues to be in the market focus because it had underperformed. Will this be a year where you actually see more of a comeback?
I mean, the Fed is doing or what the political situation is for these countries. But now the AI story has introduced a whole new layer. I mean, look at the Korean market, the Taiwan market.
No, Korea is one that
China
still is overweight, but 33% of, we would say, that the EM equities have sort of an AI component to them. But I think the other thing is the fiscal deficits in emerging markets are actually lower than in developed markets. I mean, you've had so much fiscal dominance in the developed markets. So there's a feeling that looking at the macro numbers in emerging markets, they look to be in a much less volatile place than some points in history.
News I want to get to right now from the Treasury. Some big changes coming to the Financial Stability Oversight Council. Our own Steve Leisman, senior economics reporter, joins us with that exclusive story. What you got?
Hey, Andrew, CNBC has obtained exclusively the contents of a letter written by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent proposing a pretty radical rethink of how the government will promote financial stability and prevent systemic risk. Rather than additional regulation and oversight, Bessent's FSOC letter, that's the Financial Stability Oversight Council, argues greater financial stability can be achieved by reducing regulation and promoting economic growth. The letter, to be released later today in conjunction with an FSOC meeting, says the council will work with and support member agencies in considering whether aspects of the U.S. financial regulatory framework impose undue burdens and negatively impact economic growth, thereby undermining financial stability. FSOC, formed in 2010 in the wake of the great financial crisis, it was designed to monitor and address severe systemic risk. It's chaired by the Treasury Secretary, but it includes also the Fed chair and leading federal and some state financial regulators. FSOC has generally worked to tighten regulations and oversight of financial institutions. Bessent says that monitoring of systemic risk, it's going to continue, but he lays out a blueprint that looks more likely to loosen regulation than to tighten it. Bessent is also forming a new AI working group to, quote, explore opportunities for AI to promote the resilience of the financial system while also monitoring for potential risk to financial stability that might be posed by the adoption of AI. His plan, of course, lines up with the Trump administration's emphasis on deregulation that's already helped the financial system or financial companies, but it also looks like a sharp pivot from the original intent of FSOC aimed at the too big to fail problem and how previous administrations have conceived of its mission. The Fed followed through on an expected hawkish rate cut, reducing rates by a quarter point to the new range of 3.5 to 3.75, and signaling, hey, it might be done cutting for now. The statement used language it had used in the past to signal a pause ahead, and Fed Chair Jay Powell several times said policy is well positioned, which is sort of Fed code for we're done for now.
I would note that having reduced our policy rate by 75 basis points since September and 175 basis points since last September, the Fed funds rate is now within a broad range of estimates of its neutral value, and we are well positioned to wait to see how the economy evolves.
And so as we continue to move into these lower price vehicles like R2 and R3, the technology needs to continue to lead.
You are making this primarily for the people who buy a Rivian so they can use the artificial intelligence, self-driving technology on their own. But you kind of opened the door on stage to the possibility of pursuing rideshare opportunities. Would you consider your own robotaxi service?
So, from a technology point of view, if you can deliver level 4 autonomy, so that's with the vehicle where it can drive empty, meaning no one in the driver's seat, completely operating itself, that can go towards a personal level 4 vehicle. It can go towards a robotaxi or rideshare level 4 vehicle. It's very much the same technology. And for us, our initial focus is on personal level 4. Around 99% of the miles driven in the United States are in personally owned vehicles. It's not to say we don't think the rideshare space is interesting. It's just to say that our initial focus is personal. But we're absolutely open to, and we'll be exploring ways that we can deploy it in the rideshare space.
Real quick, going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy. And you know, when the dealers have to step in to save a Treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Crypto Teacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, It's Time to Re-Educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.